Hello, friend.
Hello.
Welcome to Discovery 14.1. Hey, we're back.
Yay.
Oh, yeah, not that we were gone for that long, really.
Not really, no.
No, we were sipping jippers on the beach. That's what we were doing.
Yep.
A bit of news, Star Trek news. Yeah, there's been quite a bit, actually, but all the Trek series announced so far, and we're suddenly up to our next in the Trek series. We have Picard, which it has been revealed is going to be about Picard rescuing Romulans or helping Romulans who are affected by the destruction of Romulus. Which, on the one hand, is a bit of a jip for me, because it's like I kind of like to pretend that the 09 films didn't happen. But that's obviously kind of a key event. I mean, in the Prime universe, this isn't it, from the film universe. And it's the whole reason why it all kicks off, basically, isn't it, with Nero coming back. But, yeah, I can't really pretend. It's a bit like when they had the 8th Doctor appear in the new series of Doctor Who, and then I couldn't pretend that the awful American movie pilot thing wasn't a thing. Hey-ho. But we'll see. I mean, way too early days to know what that's all about, although, yeah, it's apparently Picard as we've not seen him before, which seems a bit redundant bringing him back in some ways, but then again I guess it would be boring if he was exactly the same. I just hope he's not Action Man like he was in all the movies and going around in his vest.
Yeah, I don't want to see him
snogging all the girls.
No.
Please. I know that's what Patrick Stewart would like, but please don't make the series about that.
Well, I mean, hopefully if he's rescuing Romulans, he'll be being a diplomat and stuff.
Yes.
I know it would be cool. I mean, at the end of the day, if you'd said to me, you know, oh, you're going to really like the Discovery Mirror Universe, before I'd watched it, I probably would have told you were a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But I loved it. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to watch and see.
Mm-hmm. There's going to be a Lower Decks animated series, which
I'm
is
looking forward
a
to that
comedy
one.
thing by the person who brought us Next Generation Season 8, so...
Yeah, A, I love Season 8, and B, having recently watched the animated series for The Edge of Forever, I loved that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think of all of them, that's the one I'm most looking forward to, actually.
Uh-huh. Then we've recently announced we've got a Georgiou Section 31 series as well.
Which could be interesting, or, you know, I'm not as interested in that, just on the premise, but then we don't know that much about it, really, do we?
Yeah.
In terms of who's writing it, and obviously he's got Georgiou in it, but
yeah.
Whereas with the animated series, I can be like, oh, I'm looking forward to that because I really like Season 8. Do you know what I mean? And there's things you can do with animation that you can't do in live action, so it could explore things that they wouldn't be able to put on screen as a live action show. I just don't feel I know enough about the Georgiou one, really. And
there's going to be another animated series which is aimed at kids, apparently.
I'll give that a try. So, I'm not a kid.
Star Trek, baby.
Yeah. You know, I'm not a kid, but part of me never really grew up. I might be fine with it. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, when I was a student, I used to watch Teletubbies. I think I'm broken.
Yes. Okay, well, we're going to do a little bit of...
Previously on Star Trek Discovery.
Because as many people were, we recently rewatched the first series in preparation for the second.
Yeah.
One or two things that jumped out to me that I hadn't noticed the first time around. One of which is going to bug me all the way. I now know all the way through the second series because it bugged me for the first episode. There's the way that Saru walks with his hands flapping behind him like he's wafting his farts. It's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah.
Also, Sarek sounds a bit drunk some of the time. It just talks with a weird sort of slur. It's very odd.
Yeah. I think... one of the things that I found this time round is in the very first couple of episodes, you don't see any threat ganglia from Saru when you should.
Uh-huh.
So I wonder whether they came up with a threat ganglia later.
A bit later on, quite probably.
This time round, I didn't find the Klingon makeup as annoying as I did when we first watched it.
Uh-huh.
But I found the voices more annoying.
Yes, that's still grating, and it's partly just because they've got appliances on their teeth, so you can't. And that used to be a thing a bit, but it's worse with these teeth.
Yeah, there's something about them. When you think about the funny teeth that the Ferengi had,
yeah,
and some Klingons had slightly funny teeth and funny voices, but not. For me, it was just every now and again it would take me out of it. But whereas I'm kind of used to what they look like now.
To an extent, yes.
To an extent.
Yeah. But it still irks me that the only reason they look different is to disguise who Ash Tyler was. So, because otherwise you'd have recognised him as an actor straight away if you just
I
had the
wouldn't.
traditional pasty.
I
You wouldn't
wouldn't.
have done, but that proves
No.
nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I still would have been absolutely fucking clueless. One thing that didn't make sense to me on the rewatch is why everybody blames Burnham for the Klingon attack when it's clear that it wasn't anything to do with Burnham's mutiny or why she mutinied or what she tried to do or any of it. It was the Admiral appearing is what triggered the Klingons then going, we want to fight, we were waiting for someone that important to show up. And other people saw that. Because it was one of those hollow Admiral things. Hollow, what do you call it?
Holographic doobie.
Yeah. So I can understand why some people who weren't there might think she started it by her mutiny. But when you watch the episode, that isn't what happens. And those people on her crew should not think that she's responsible for the Klingon War. Absolutely, they're going to be fucking devastated that, she went for the captain and then the captain died. But she's not responsible for the start of the Klingon War, and those who served with her should know that. Mm-hmm. So that stood out to me as a negative, really, that I didn't so much pick up. But watching it this time round, with all knowing in advance all the stuff about Lorca, and just seeing how much Jason Isaacs plays it and what he puts in there, and how everything he says can be read multiple ways actually on a number of occasions, and then you're like, and it's like, I know we did the rewatch of the first bit once we found out about him, but even on a further rewatch of those episodes, I really, really appreciated that aspect more.
Yeah,
it was really good. One question that came up for me, and I'm not sure of the answer, but where you've got those scenes with Mudd and Lorca, this is when the viewers that originally had no idea about Lorca. Some of the things that Mudd says makes me wonder if Mudd knows who Lorca really is.
I wouldn't have thought so. I don't quite know how he would have done.
Fair enough.
What irked me the first time we watched it, and irked me again this time, was the whole thing about them making Georgiou captain, which just seemed like an excuse for a good cliffhanger. And the whole crew know. They've just come back from the mirror universe.
Yeah,
they know that Georgiou's dead. So then it's not going to be too difficult for them to work out who the hell this actually is. But they like the way they're playing it as if, oh no, we've got to pretend that she's the real Georgiou. It's like, no, come on.
No, it doesn't make... The idea that they have to keep you from the rest of the fleet makes sense.
Yeah, and when Tilly opens the thing and it turns out it's a bomb, it's like, she should have just said, oh, curse you for your inevitable betrayal.
Yes. And the other thing as well I found, because I hadn't, once you're in the Mirror Universe, it was my first rewatch of those episodes. Even knowing everything, I still found the whole Vok suddenly coming to the fore in front of Burnham, and all of that was fucking creepy. It's still...
Yeah, it's well played as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the acting throughout is just fantastic. It really does stand up. The effects stand up really well as well, I ought to say. Still don't like the Klingon ship designs, but hey, I don't think we're going to see very much of them this season, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but overall, really good, generally speaking, really good writing and acting and everything. It really is minor niggles. And it does very much... a rewatch will repay you.
It does, and particularly now, once you've seen it, once you know where it's going. I mean, there was an awful lot of doubt, and I wasn't sure they knew where it was going to begin with either, and I think it kind of showed. And obviously, there were sort of changes behind the scenes and
weren't
stuff
there?
that
Yeah.
didn't help. So yeah, it did feel a bit inconsistent to start with, but when it works, it holds together. So that's the important thing.
Yes. So, should we move on to the short treks?
Yeah, well, since then we have the shorts. Eventually, literally just like a day or so ago, in the UK, we finally got the shorts that the US, most of which they've had for a while now. They're very hard to find. Just to warn you, they're hidden in the extras on Netflix. If you go to the Discovery on Netflix and there's trailers and extras, and you have to click on that,
and then even then, they're not the first option.
No, they're at the end of the list. We got there in the end.
Yeah. So pause a moment. If you haven't found them yet...
Yes, go find them.
Find them, watch them, and then come back and listen to the rest of this cast.
Yes.
Because we're going to be spoiling them.
Oh, of course. And as with the first episode of Discovery of the new season as well.
People might have watched the first episode of Season 2, having not yet found the short trek. So just in case that's happened to you, go away, go look under trailers and extras, watch them, then come back, listen.
Particularly the fourth one. Yeah, I'd hate to spoil that for you.
Yeah. Okay, so now anybody listening to this has watched them.
Yeah.
Should we do them in chronological order?
I think so. I'm just generally, I found there was a slight problem with the format, in that clearly these were done on a fairly tight budget, some more obviously than others, and they, by definition, they're short, so there's not a lot of time to explore characters. Not so bad when they're featuring characters we already know well, so Tilly and Saru, but the second one where you've got this guy that just appears from nowhere, and anyway, we'll get onto that.
We'll get onto that in a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, so the first one...
It's Runaway.
Yeah, is it Ensign Tilly and the alien thing.
Yeah.
Universal Translator. Tilly. I'm Tilly. What's your name?
My name is Keep Your Human Digits Off Me, please. It's a family name. My name is also... I could build a translator like that in my sleep. In fact, I did when I was 9.
Oh, yeah? Did you calculate the precise protein concentration and small particle dispersion of emulsifiers to make a matter synthesizer dispense nothing but Spumoni ice cream when you were 9? No, you didn't. Because you didn't know what ice cream was until 30 seconds ago.
I really like this one. I liked it because Tilly is still Tilly, even though she's now on the command programme and an ensign. I mean, yeah, obviously she's still Tilly when you're watching the first episode, but it's nice to see that they haven't suddenly changed the character or forgotten who she is, if you see what I mean. So I liked that. I liked the idea of a really, really clever alien, even though they've only just discovered warp. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that, they're all backward. I like the idea that they might be behind in some things, but they could potentially be ahead in others. I really like that as a
hiding is obviously something they're very good at.
But I like that as a concept, and I like the fact as well that it's Tilly that bonds with her, which you can see being a natural thing and part of her personality in a way that you makes me wonder whether anybody else would have managed it. Yeah,
and the point's made in the first episode of the new season by Stamets that she's just a loving, caring person, and therefore that makes good sense.
But she does everything else of love, and that's not just love for people, it's also love for what she does as well, and love for science and exploring and things, which is great. So I really enjoyed that one. I think, I don't know why they came up with the shorts necessarily, but this is something I don't think would have worked as a longer story. It only ever would have worked as perhaps a very minor C-plot in an episode. So this format, I think, suited this episode.
Right. Whereas I kind of feel like if that person turns up in an episode of season 2 or even later maybe, then I'll have felt like, yes, it's worthwhile. But as it stands, she literally appears out of nowhere and disappears off at the end. And you think, why did we do this? I mean, yes, it's nice seeing Tilly again. And the other thing I found frustrating, and again, this goes back to my comment about the limits of the setup, is that suddenly the Discovery is really empty. And with the exception of one shot in the mess hall, where a few of the crew come in, but they're not the regular crew, they're just some people that come in to see the mess. It feels like Tilly's just rattling around the ship on her own. It's really odd. It just felt empty, but of course they cut it to budget. And worse still then, when she's talking to her mom, you don't see her mom, because they don't, it's just a shape moving around. It's, oh, come on, surely you could afford an actress for that, but never mind.
Most of the time it didn't bother me that the ship was mostly empty, because she actually says that she's effectively on the night shift. And we saw how empty the night shift was in Next Gen.
It wasn't that empty. They still had a reason. We only really saw the bridge in that, but there was still plenty of people there. But
so I get that there's not going to be that many people around on the night shift. What bothered me was that then later on, I kind of got the impression it wasn't the night shift anymore. When she's saying goodbye to her, and presumably she's told somebody about this alien that's appeared and everything else, and you still don't see anybody else. That's the only point. So initially, when you first opened with it, it didn't bother me. But as the episode went on, it did slightly. But it was a very nice self-contained story. I'm not sure it would have worked much longer. It would have been a B plot in a main episode, or a C plot.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no reason why you can't do that. And let's move on to the next one, shall we? Calypso.
Yeah, now I know loads of people who love this, and I just don't.
I know. This one's even more goes nowhere, does nothing. A guy turns up, it's in the far future. Literally the only thing from the series is the Discovery, and it suddenly has a voice now.
Well, it's over time the AI has become sentient.
I left you that one. I thought it must have sentimental value since you never had it removed.
It's an old hunting injury. What's your name?
Sora. What's yours?
Quarrel.
Liar.
It just seemed so pointless. It's like so disconnected from anything else.
That was my problem as well. That the idea that you can end up with an AI that really develops a proper personality and becomes a person just without physical form, that can be quite interesting. I have no problems with the idea of that person then being lonely and not wanting to say goodbye to the physical person that was there. You get that in Long Way to a Strange Angry Planet? I can't remember. By Becky Chambers. Mm-hmm. So I've got no problem with the concept. My difficulty was I didn't know the AI before and I didn't know bloke before.
Exactly.
That was my problem.
Yeah. Plus, there are huge shades of WALL-E all the way throughout. Weird dancing and musical scenes. Guess what I really, really don't like?
Yeah.
Although ironically, I do like WALL-E. I think,
yeah.
But the bits about WALL-E I like the most are him sort of
flying around the ship and stuff.
Well, no, not so much that, actually. The opening scenes of him just tracking across loads of waste and just the incredibly pointlessness of it all. I mean, it appealed to me in a kind of bleak way. But anyway, that's WALL-E, not Calypso.
Yeah,
but
for me...
it was very similar, it felt.
I think the thing for me is that there needed to be something, from my point of view, there needed to be something that I already knew. And again, the format was such we did not have enough time to get to know either.
No, and if this dude shows up later on in the series, which time travels, anything's possible in Star Trek, then again it'll have turned out to be an introduction to somebody that we meet later on. Okay. But as it stands, it just feels very GNDN, basically.
This one, for me, does particularly. The Tilly one, I can see the point of, because we already know her. And it's just like a little glimpse.
It's easier as a result, yeah.
For me, it's a glimpse into something else she did we wouldn't otherwise see. I like it. It's, it doesn't, for me, because we know Tilly, and because
Tilly's day out.
For me, it doesn't have to achieve something, if you see what I mean. I am just interested, because I'm interested in the characters. In the same way as with a lot of stuff with Doctor Who, I'm interested because if I could, I'd go in the TARDIS. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. But with this, why would I want to be there? I don't know these people. Why is it... And I know it sounds really callous to say, why should I care? But I'm afraid I struggled to care.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas I know loads of people for whom this is their favourite episode. So if that's you, can you explain why? Because I don't get it.
Well,
sorry.
They do discuss this on The Great Derelict.
Oh, I haven't got that far yet.
And yes, this is Dave Probert's favourite episode, and I think Andy's as well. And what they liked about it, apparently it felt like a sort of episode of, not the Twilight Zone, one of those type shows anyway, anthology shows, a standalone thing, just sort of taking a universe and exploring something elsewhere in it, sort of. But the problem was there wasn't enough of the universe in there. Literally, they were just using sets from Discovery, and otherwise it was just unrelated. So, but apparently they felt it was very Star Trek, and I'm thinking, really? Oh, okay, that all the WALL-E stuff was Star Trek? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if maybe if other people loved it, great. Just for me, I didn't connect with it at all.
Then we had The Brightest Star, which is the Saru one.
It's a pleasure to finally put a face to the name, Mr. Saru. An entirely new face at that.
I was not certain you would come.
You contacted us with technology that doesn't belong to your species. It was stolen from the Baul, wasn't it?
Yes.
And you turned it into a beacon. The first and only Kelpian with the ingenuity to manipulate technology that advanced. You are extraordinary.
Thank you, Lieutenant Giorgio.
Don't thank me just yet. If you come with me, everything you know will change.
Will I be able to return one day to help my people?
It was difficult enough for me to convince Starfleet to make an exception for you. You caused quite a stir. It's not every day we get a hello from a member of a pre-warp society.
Oh, this one drove me mad. I get that. Maybe it makes more sense that the species preying on Saru was from another planet, and that's why they were threatening, because maybe that's easier to get your head around than a planet full of predators eating Kelpians.
Which was the impression we got,
but
wasn't
the fact
it?
Is,
he said we're at the bottom of the food chain, everything's out to get us.
And that's why when they went to that planet, set up the beacon, for the first time he stopped being scared. You know the one I mean? Yeah. So he expands on it more, and so the impression he creates, plus dialogue he actually says, should have you thinking that there are big species that are going to prey on them.
Yes.
Not that they're there.
They're going to be constantly living in fear.
Yeah.
But no, apparently they sit around and play games in their tents.
Yeah.
What?
And it's like...
And the only threat is a weird monolith thing that never gets explained and...
Well, no, you know it's another species and they're harvesting them.
Right.
And you know that they get called up, and you're supposed to just accept it as your time. So they are being preyed on, but it's not constant.
No, it's
not there.
bizarre.
It's not there all the time, and for me that didn't fit. So if it had been that plus, I don't know, you heard noises of loads of beasts. It wouldn't have taken them showing it on.
No, they didn't have to show loads of alien creatures, but they did at least have to give the impression. I mean, say having them sit around and play a board game does kind of dispel any sense of threats.
Yeah, it just doesn't fit with that episode where he felt that peace for the first time ever.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work.
Also, they're called kelpians because they eat kelp. Okay. Glad they don't, I don't know, eat another animal's poo or something, because heaven knows what we'd be calling them.
I don't know. What I did like in the episode was the idea that there are pre-warp species that reached out. And that's why kelpians in general are not in Starfleet.
Exactly. It does explain why he's the only one that we've seen. And potentially it also explains why we never see one ever again, if he's the only one that escaped the planet and the rest of them get monolithed to death. But what seemed weird was the fact that he just leaves. Really? He's not going to come back and help his sister? And obviously Starfleet know about this arrangement and they're not doing anything about it. I mean, perhaps Prime Directive. But then, of course, there's a whole problem with the fact that they're taking away Saru. That's kind of interference, isn't it, in a pre-warp civilization?
I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with the Prime Directive at this point.
No, true. It is early days for it. And let's face it, later on, Kirk doesn't pay much attention to it anyway. So for me, that aspect of it, that does raise questions. But then equally, maybe they have done something to help the Kelpians, but still left them to develop the technology at their own pace, and hence the others are not in Starfleet. What I will say about this is, unlike the other two, they clearly spent some money on this one, so you get location filming, which is nice, and there are plenty of Kelpians around, and speaking parts as well, so it didn't feel slightly cheap like the previous two did.
No. The other thing I liked is you can totally see this happening in the Mirror universe, and Mirror Georgiou coming down and promptly enslaving the entire race.
All right.
Do you know what I mean? You can... and eating them and harvesting them, because she's taken the idea from whoever the other people are and gone, what a good idea, I'll do that.
I mean, I really do feel that this is probably something that they're going to explore in the future. I mean, already we've had a reference in the first episode to his sister.
Yeah. So
I suspect this is something they're going to come back to, and again, therefore it'll suddenly have more weight and meaning. But
maybe they'll find a way to retcon the fact that he said that their species spends the whole time frightened. Because we didn't see any whole time. We saw they're preyed on, but infrequently, and we did not see a death.
Almost by a timetable, really, but yeah.
Yeah, very much, actually. But we did not see... And
the whole thing about them being really fast, because they're always being chased. Again,
yeah, exactly.
Nobody moved at any sort of pace in this. They moved very slowly towards the monolith. I mean, why have they developed fast speed? They don't appear to be under any threat.
Exactly, and all it would have taken is some noises.
Yeah.
All it would have taken is the noise of predators. And they shouldn't really have been intense, because they would have been preyed on. They should be living in caves, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
If you think about it logically, if they're a prey species.
So at this point, I'd kind of lost my rag with these shorts, I must admit. I'd lost my patience. And the next one came up, and it was Harry Mudd. And I really didn't like Harry Mudd in the new series. I thought, that's it. No, not going to watch anymore. Getting too cross and angry. Don't like the cheapness. Don't like the unconnectedness of it all. Let's give that one a break, shall we? And it was literally only because I was listening to The Great Derelicts and they mentioned the fourth one had a really good twist. It's like, right, I'm stopping listening now because I don't want this twist being spoiled, and I'm going to watch the fourth one.
Yeah, and I, in the meantime, messaged you that I had watched it, and that I thought our son would enjoy it.
And despite my misgivings, the fourth one was really good.
It is. It's really funny. I did find it very amusing.
I mean, Mudd's a bit more like he is in the original series. He's suddenly not a callous, psychotic murderer like he was, shooting crew people all over the place. It was like, that's not Mudd. I mean, yeah, he's not a nice person, but he's not a murderer. I mean, it was part of the, we're going to be Dark Trek sort of thing, and we're going to make Mudd dark, and no, I don't want to do it. Whereas this one, he's a roguish, he's a thief, he's not a good guy.
He's a charmer, and he's...
Yeah, but he's not, obviously not murderous at any point in this, but then again, he doesn't get a chance because he spends most of it all, tied up. I just love did this ever work for you before? And, have you ever tried it? And then you see a flashback with it not working with somebody else.
Yeah.
And this one seemed to have loads of money thrown at it because we were on various alien worlds. We've got
love
various
the
alien
little
races.
alien that's pulling him along.
Yes.
I love that
Great.
character. I want to see that character again, please. Like that character.
And I like the Tellarite that we get to know quite well over the course
yeah.
of it. And he's a really well played character. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's really good. And I love at the end when he's convinced it can't be, that he must have the real ones. And
Yeah.
of course he pulls the arm off and it isn't. And then there's all the others there with no arm.
Tell him you're real.
If I had any money, I'd be sipping jippers on a beach somewhere. I'd be sipping jippers on a beach somewhere. If I had any money, I'd be sipping jippers on a beach somewhere. If I had any money, I'd be sipping jippers on a beach somewhere. If I had any money, I'd be sipping jippers on a beach. Jippers on a beach. Jippers on a beach. If I had any money, I'd be sipping jippers on a beach. Jippers on a beach. Jippers on a beach.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. The only thing that didn't work, and it was just like one tiny line, was there was a reference to the Federation taxman coming, and it's like, sorry? Federation taxman? What?
Well, no, because the Federation have put a bounty on his head of however many credits.
No. He says, he makes a comment. It's not connected with the bounty. It's about the Federation taxman. It's like, what?
Yeah, but the Federation, they've still got money. The Federation have put a bounty on him of X amount of money.
Then we later find out it isn't actually, is it? It's him doing it, which is, it's like a double twist, because initially the twist is, oh, this isn't the real Harry Mudd, this is an android. It's this bounty hunter that set this thing up. And then you find out, the bounty hunter is actually him.
Yeah.
Wearing false boobs and everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
but if they know that the Federation doesn't have money, they would see through it,
You'd
surely.
think. Oh, I don't know. Again, the whole thing with the money.
Yeah, and unfortunately you can't use the Picard fucks it up theory because they don't have money in Enterprise.
Yeah. Never mind.
Unless the new Picard series is going to find a way to show that Picard fucked everything up.
I mean, I think one of the best things is the fact that they're all very different in feel.
Yeah.
As I say, the first two just felt a bit cheap. That was the only thing those two had in common. So, some people will like certain episodes and some people will like different ones. Yeah, so I think the order that you'll rate these in will vary incredibly depending on what you're looking for in your Star Trek, basically.
I think so.
So if you're going to do shorts, at least do them over, with different feel. And yeah. So the comedy worked really well. I was just really pleased with that fourth one. That was excellent.
Yeah, that was my favourite.
Redeemed it all for me.
that was my favourite, but I did also really enjoy the Tilly one. Mm-hmm. And for me, the one I enjoyed least was Calypso because I didn't connect with it.
Yeah. Well, we've also heard from Doreen.
And she writes, I really enjoyed these, and it's good to be able to see them legally. I especially enjoyed Runaway, or Tilly's First Contact. Going backwards to least enjoyed, Next Brightest Star, the start of Saru and Captain George's relationship. After that, it's difficult to choose because I think it was quite humorous. Escape Artist. And just because I'm putting Calypso last doesn't mean it was rubbish, it just felt unconnected with Discovery Season 1. Absolutely.
More than slightly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not saying Calypso is rubbish, I'm just saying I didn't connect with it.
Yeah. Okay, well those were the shorts.
Yes.
Now, on with the season opener for Season 2. Oh, brother.
Space. The final frontier. Above us. Around us. Within us. We have always looked to the stars to discover who we are.
And it's a nice, easy to understand title as well, because clearly it refers to Spurk.
Yes.
So this is our hotcakes, or whatever they're called, on Brother. We literally just watched this today. I managed to squeeze in two watches, though, so it's not going to be quite as painful as some of the other ones. That guy, the thingy bloke, Doug Bugger. Hopefully the days of Doug Bugger are gone now, because I've got time to look up actual characters' names on Memory Alpha. Here's hoping. Anyway, We have a very long last season on Discovery. Which,
we skipped it.
Yeah, well, I watched it the first time around, and it probably would have been easier just to tell people to watch season 1, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like, you're really not going to work it out from all this. Never mind. Burnham is then doing this Space the Final Frontier bit.
But you get some lovely shots of stuff there, don't you?
Some beautiful visuals, yes, including the red things that will be cropping up later on. Then we get her adoption by Sarek and Amanda, which is very sweet.
Now, one thing that struck me is Amanda, in this adoption, turns around and says to Michael, I bless you. She's human.
Yes, and not only human, but obviously slightly religious. Interesting.
And I just think it's not very Roddenberry, is it?
Not at all, no. Very curious. Then we meet young Spock, who uses his Vulcan Etch-a-Sketch to make a 3D dragon thing to roar at her. We learn right at the end what that's all about, is him drawing his nightmares so that they don't bother him anymore.
Yeah.
And then he slams the door in the face. That's nice. Please don't make Spock a dick, Disco. We really don't need that. Loved, cherished character.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's a kid at this point.
Yes, I suppose. But we didn't know before he was a jerk as a kid, did we?
No, but I don't know how old Spock is at this point, but I would guess maybe 8. Could be younger if being Vulcan makes him age differently. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, if he's about 8, most 8-year-olds, if they get a sibling, don't cope very well.
He's already got a sibling, Cyborg, who strangely there were no pictures of in the house. I don't understand that. Anyway, the Enterprise is offline and sending a distress code. There's some MacGuffin that means they can't hail them up from the disco, so Tilly makes a stunning entrance on the bridge and suggests using Morse code. Hurrah for Tilly! Yay. Then we're into slightly different credits, but not much. Most of it's the same. It's just there's the Klingon stuff's now gone, and we've got somebody with wings, or something with wings, curious, and a Vulcan as well.
New with wings.
Season 2 of Discovery, now with wings. There's a lovely panning shot along Discovery towards the Enterprise.
Yeah.
And we see Burnham and Saru walking along a corridor. And thank you to the director for not using that let's go through the window to join them thing that season 1 was so fond of and just kept giving me motion sickness. Yeah.
I love this when they're talking as they're going along and Burnham is all sort of, I'm just focusing on the mission or whatever, and Saru sniffs her and goes, no, you're not. Yeah. I love that.
He detects her nervousness by smell. Fantastic.
Yes, it's fantastic. And we see somebody with a Geordie visor.
We do. The transporter chief has a Geordie-like visor plus some gubbins even on his bald head. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Over beams Captain Pike, along with security/engineering commander called Narn.
Kima-Narn?
Kima-Narn, possibly. I don't know. She's some sort of species. I'm sure we've seen them before that have those things down the side of their face. I don't know what that is, though. Curious. I need to find out at some point. No doubt Memory Alpha doesn't say at the moment, but I'm sure Memory Alpha will tell us eventually. And there's also a non-pointy-eared dude who beams up, and they make a big thing of focusing on his ears to prove it isn't Spock. And he's called Connolly.
Cyril Connolly.
Bit of Monty Python there.
Yeah, and Pike comes along and he says he's taking over under command 19C or whatever, and that's because Saru says that's the only reason you can take command. And he says, well, actually, there's 3 reasons. He says all of them actually. It's an emergency, and there isn't anybody else qualified. And I can't remember what the third point was. And everybody's suspicious, and it kind of seems a little bit dodgy, but you don't know whether Pike is dodgy or the crew, having been captained by Lorca, are just going to be wary of anyone they don't know.
Yeah. They turn up in their uniforms that are the same design as disco uniforms, but they're the bright and breezy original series colour schemes.
Yeah, which Burnham describes as very colourful in a disdainful tone of voice.
And they're just being introduced, apparently. Okay, that's fine, but more of that later on. Yes, Pike's played by Anson Mount, who, having a quick look through his IMDb, the only thing we've seen with him in is Jason Statham's Safe, which we did see relatively recently, but I don't think he's had that big a role in it.
Which one was that one? I'm afraid
it's
all
the one where
Jason Statham films we've watched
they
merge
slightly,
into one.
But this one's the one where he's looking after the little girl who's being targeted.
Yeah.
Because of what she's seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what she knows.
Yeah.
Anyway, good film, safe. Well, worth checking out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Connolly is played by Sean Connolly Affleck. I don't know if he's any relation. It doesn't appear to be. I did a quick wiki on him. He had a small role in The Expanse.
Okay.
And, yeah, Nan, we've not seen her in anything, but she's Rachel and Cheryl, apparently.
Okay.
Then we get a scene in the new corridor set, which is bigger than the ones we've seen in Season 1, and has a green screen on the ceiling, so they can do effect shots, like showing the worker bees above the ship, which is rather cool. There have been these red bursts that have appeared for a short space of time, although one of them's still around, and they're thought to be a signal of some kind, and it's them that crashed the Enterprise systems, apparently. Mm-hmm. Turbo lift doors open on a gurgling alien called Linus.
I love him.
He's so cute. And it just makes you think of Snoopy, doesn't he, Linus? But there are. We get a very expensive, but surely not needed look at the turbo lift from the outside.
Yeah.
Which is going on some sort of fairground ride by the looks of it. Like, with more worker bees on the insides of the Enterprise. Weird.
Yeah, it's all quite odd, and it reminded me of something, but I can't remember what it reminded me of, but from my childhood.
All right.
Can you think of anything that would have involved getting in something and going on a magic journey in random directions?
I'm thinking Willy Wonka and the glass elevator or something, but anyway, maybe not.
Anyway, but it was one of those things that it was just a vague memory from childhood.
It just felt a bit like showing off, look what we can do, sort of thing. And I don't think we need to see the workings of the turbo lift, really. But there we are.
Yeah.
Linus sneezes snot on Connolly's face anyway, which is fantastic.
That. Oh, yeah.
There's lots of laughs in this story.
Yeah.
They're starting with a good amount of comedy, which is excellent.
But there's also loads of feels in this, because you have Stamets and he's using one of these plug-in things to replay memories.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit, yeah.
Oh.
On the bridge, Tilly's she kind of seems like she's flirting with Pike, whether that's just nervousness or
I think
what.
I think she's just nervous.
And then she manages to put all his personal data on the view screen, which is a bit of a data protection no-no.
And then he's like, look at that F for Astro.
Yeah, yes, more of that later, blimey. But he makes the most of it. He gives a very stirring speech, and he says he's no Lorca. Well, who is? Who could be? Sadly, we then leave behind the Enterprise for now, as Disco heads off to explore the red thing, but not before a last loving pan over the Enterprise's saucer section. Yeah. Very nice. And Pike says, hit it, which appears to be his version of engage.
Okay.
And then, yes, we get the scene with Stamets listening to opera and watching old messages from Dr. Culber. Apparently, engineering has been returned to its former state, and he's been offered a place at the Vulcan Science Academy. And he can't cope with being in familiar surroundings, but Hugh not being there, which is quite a common thing when people die.
It is, but then
Sometimes.
Tilly then says, but, memories and ghosts, they can be positive.
Yeah, he compliments her on her care for folk, which is very sweet.
Yeah.
But gets her to promise to say few things.
Yes.
Fewer things.
I will say fewer things. But then I love the way she still says, I don't want you to go. It's like, I've got a lump in my throat. It's like, oh...
We get a flashback to Amanda reading Michael Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Spock staring at them creepily. Sarek enters Michael's quarters. She now, of course, has her own. She's not sharing with Tilly anymore. And he says he's been in contact with Laurel, who's now the High Chancellor.
Yeah.
So that thing about women not being able to be on the High Council was clearly a very limited phenomenon in the history of the Klingon Empire.
Well, it probably had something to do with, dodgy people. Because you had, when it wasn't dodgy people, Hoobly Flip was Star Trek 6.
Yes, that's right. Oh, I can't remember her name now. But she was daughter of the Chancellor, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was.
Yes.
Whereas when you get to... It's only when you've already had the Civil War, haven't you, that Picard steps in to try and sort out. The Klingon Empire has already been infected with bad politics. It's basically and all going wrong.
Yeah, the days of Lursa and Beta where they're not allowed to be on, but they try and get what's-his-face, Juras's son.
Yeah.
And, societies go backwards as well as forwards, so
absolutely.
It's not necessarily an unreasonable thing that they went through a period where they went, no women on the High Council.
Yeah, I'm just thinking when first episode in Next Gen where you really find out anything about Klingon culture, if you see what I mean, rather than just have the Klingons appear and yell or fight. Already, the Empire is dodgy.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So the idea that... I like the idea, actually, if you can kind of retcon this, I like the idea that if you don't allow women positions of power, you're going to end up dodgy and fucked up.
Yes, there's a discussion about why Spock didn't come on board the Disco. And apparently neither Sarek nor Michael have spoken to him for a while, but that certainly connects with, Sarek's being disconnected from Spock for a long while. Apparently, Spock never accepted Michael, and she says that, although she says he did for a time, and then a sort of pause, like, oh, what went badly wrong?
Ponfar?
I hope not. Anyway,
I'm afraid that's automatically what I thought.
I did wonder, it did, the way she talked about it. Oh,
yeah.
No, let's not go there. But anyway, it's clearly something we're going to find about later, so seeding stuff again.
Yeah.
On the bridge, Pike gets everybody to give their names.
I still didn't bloody catch them all.
And it's slightly clumsy, but I'm pretty sure it's as a response of all our complaints last year about, who's that? Who's that? We keep seeing that person. She's really interesting. And you'd have to go on Memory Alpha in order to find out who the feck all these people were. Yeah. So now we get roll call. Here's who everybody is.
So who's who?
Oh, don't ask me to do that because I didn't do a list.
Oh, I expected you to. You said you watched it twice.
Yes.
I know Detmar. Tell me one of the ones I don't know.
You got Ariam, who's the kind of the androidy person.
Ariam.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Comms Man.
Comms Man. Yeah, I've got. I do have a note of his name somewhere. Oh.
And then you have the woman who's. She said her name, and it was said when I was watching the Discovery rewatch, and I just never quite caught it. I want to say Olagoshan, but I'm not sure.
I've just realised now we've got Star Trek episodes called Brother and Brothers. That's confusing, but never mind. One of them's good and one of them isn't. That's the way we'll tell them apart. So you've got Ariam, Kayla Detmer. You've got... She's Owu Sekun.
Oh, second.
Yeah.
Oh, probably Shek. It's probably I'm hearing a sounds. It's probably Owa-Shekin.
Yeah.
Owa-Shekin. Okay.
Yeah. Bryce is the communications dude.
Okay, and then there was another. There's a sort of Chinese dude, and he says his name is.
Oh no, you're right. Now who's that? Oh damn it! You see, you didn't know. Oh, I bet this is. Yeah, here he is, and it's Jen Reese.
Okay.
What's his job? I know, tactical officer. There we are. We'll get there. We'll
try and remember them.
But having had them now introduced, there's no excuse, really, is there?
No. And also, I like the fact that Ariam just says, Lieutenant Commander Ariam, having been told not to give rank.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like she couldn't give it.
Can't do it. And also, what I found interesting is Saru gives his name as Saru.
I'm just Saru.
But he then follows it with some clicks, and I kind of wonder whether the clicks are part of his name but don't get translated.
No, he says just Saru. The clicks are kind of his embarrassed noise.
Okay. Yeah. But he can't be the only alien that they've come across thus far that has one name, surely?
Yeah, I'm sure not. But let's face it, it's unlikely Pike has come across a Kelpian before, so he's not going to know they only have one name. So
yeah, that's fair enough.
Anyway, he tells Detmer to fly good, which is good.
I like that. Detmer, fly good. And now, talking of Detmer, they're focusing in on her more.
Yeah.
And I've noticed her eye.
Yeah.
Was it there before?
Yeah, basically, after the Battle of the...
No, I know she had the implant.
Yeah. She did have a different... yes, one eye is different. I think the idea is that, yes, it's a replacement for an injury that she got, so yeah.
Okay, but I hadn't noticed the eye before.
They seem to be filming it rather brighter than they did with the previous series, and I think that's the result of it.
I'll tell you what it is. It's because
Lorca had the lights down. Yes, that's exactly it. Anyway.
Lorca wouldn't let anyone put the big light on.
Yeah. As they drop out of warp, they're in a field of debris around an asteroid. But there's no red thing, as Pike puts it.
Where's my damn red thing?
Yes, clearly he failed astrophysics.
Yeah.
Science is not his thing. They try getting a closer look at the asteroid that somehow has an atmosphere, but repelled. And this is like, Trek being Trek, science me a science here. Excellent stuff. Thanks to they're changing the direction of the asteroid when they're repelled. They're now on course for a pulsar in 5 hours, so there's a bit of tension here as well. Then they discover a crashed Federation vessel, the USS Hiawatha.
I love that Saru's got better eyes, so he uses them to get the...
They thought it had been destroyed by the Klingons. Burnham tries to give an option to save the ship's crew, but Pike initially shuts her down. How wooed. But he's clearly annoyed at missing the war, and it's kind of bugging him. So he wants to be a man of action now. So they risk flying down in landing pods, which are very odd-looking things.
Oh, they're Jurassic World.
Yeah, they start out like the Jurassic World globe, but then as they come out the ship down the crazy, flume, like they get swimming pools, it seems like.
Down the water slide.
Yeah, and then suddenly they grow loads of arms which zip around in a crazy-like fashion. And they do make a very Star Wars sound effect.
Yeah.
My daughter said, this feels very Star Wars. I said, that's the reason why. Yeah.
But before they do that, You have the fact that Tilly has discovered that the spores are going mad.
Yes, so she wants them to get a sample, yes.
And Bernard's like, oh, why isn't Stamets all over this? And she goes, Stamets is leaving, and then come back, and then, I can't lose someone else. And Bernard looks at her, and it's like, I know you can't promise that. Lie to me? And it's just like, oh.
So we've got Pike's 2 officers, plus Burnham. So they all get to be dressed in different coloured spacesuits, which is very helpful for spotting who's who.
Yeah, but they are very, very shiny.
They are, yes.
Shiny like a treasure from a sunken pirate wreck. Scrub the deck and make it look shiny. I will sparkle like a wealthy woman's neck. Just a sec, don't you know?
Yes, I'm not sure this is the sort of mission a captain should be going down on, really, but these were the days, weren't they, back now? So, yeah.
Who should the captain be going down on?
You're twisting my words. Anyway, it's all very swishy action scenes.
I like it.
It's a bit like the space suit stuff in the first episode of the first season, when she goes out to explore the Keon icon thing. But even more exciting and action-packed, I guess.
And I love that you've got Saru, and he's on the Discovery, and his Fret Ganglia are showing, and one of the crew sort of looks at him, and Saru goes, "Really? Are you surprised?"
It's nice, isn't it? Yeah. Connolly gets all cocky, and as a result gets exploded.
Yeah, that's where toxic masculinity will get you.
Yeah. And as a result, Pike's is damaged, and it's cracking all around him, which is like, ugh. And he can't eject because his suit's broken, apparently. Blimey. Yeah. Well, the one thing doesn't make sense, because the helmet bit tries coming down and can't. They show that. But then when he ejects, it's down. So I don't quite... Yeah, anyway.
I don't know. I think something's...
You can understand that his jetpack's gone, hence Michael needs to rescue him. But the business about the helmet didn't make any sense, but never mind.
I don't know. But then you have this Burnham is saying to Pike, and he's going, just leave me that sort. He's going, no, you've got to trust us.
You need to trust us, sir. I told you, we don't abandon each other. Discovery has you. We have him, right, ladies? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But they make a great partnership, don't
they? They do. And I love the grins on their faces, and it's brilliant.
So, yes, Michael and Pike eject, and she catches him, and they touch down on the asteroid just above a load of spikes, just in time. They rappel down the Hiawatha's hull, which is a nice shot. And then they're scanned by something built from bits of the ship, which then lead them down an ET-like polythene corridor.
I totally went to an ET place on this.
And they end up meeting Commander Jet Reno.
So, where do we go first?
I shall take the liberty of using my modem to locate the Muppets.
Okay, great. Wow.
R-E-N-O. That spells Reno.
That's from...
Muppets,
that's right, yes. Okay. Sorry. Yes. She's an engineer, but she's doing an awful lot of surgery in order to keep people alive. So when we meet her, she's literally in the brains of a Tellarite.
Oh, yeah.
She's played by Tig Notaro, who's a stand-up comic, apparently.
I did really like the character.
She's certainly very eccentric, isn't she? Yeah. I presume she's going to become the chief engineer of the Discovery. She seems to be set up for that, so...
Yeah. I hope she doesn't become the Doctor.
No! We've already got several of those, so I'm sure they don't
No, I mean, just, she says at one point, was it, so-and-so needed a new heart, I didn't have one to transport, so I kind of hitched it to a Bolian, and you're just like, what?
Yeah. So they get the Hiawatha's transporter room up to specs, which makes good use of the set from the Shenzhou. It's got those big things on the walls. And Discovery's about to beam up the first of the patients when the asteroid starts breaking up and causing her damage. Rips into her hole. Poor thing. Don't know, I have a lot of punishment. Yeah. When the others beam up, Burnham gets left behind thanks to doing repairs on the transporter. She's knocked out and wakes up with a glowing thing through her leg, which looks very painful.
It does, and she actually screams.
Oh, this really hurt. I'm going to need some ice cream.
Then she sees the angel thing from the opening credits, which is then replaced by Pike, who comes to her rescue. She's got a sample for Tilly, but when she gets beamed up, it kind of falls through her hand. It can't be beamed up, and apparently that's significant. some new science is going to be born as a result of this or something. It all gets very ticky at this point. But in another nice comedy line, Michael points out that she's a terrible patient, and Dr. Pollard agrees.
Yeah, she just walks past and goes, "Yep."
She was, by the way, in the last season, she was kind of Dr. Culber's replacement, basically, in the last few stories. As Tilly leaves to get another sample, we see a crewman in a wheelchair, which is nice. We did at the party, didn't we, in the first season?
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's the same one or not.
The design to me seems a bit reminiscent of Professor X's.
Uh-huh. Stamets and Ariam help Tilly out as a badly CGI device assembles itself in the shuttle bay. It has to be. This is the only bum effect in the entire thing, so you can't really complain. But yes, it does look a bit eek.
Yeah, but for me it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that, having initially sort of gone, I'm leaving and I'm off and I'm gone. He's like, there's a science party. Where's the science party? I want the science party. And Tilly's like, you are so invited. And he's like, yay, science party. And when it works, she's like, it's the power of math, people.
Yes, the power of a math, because they only have the one, apparently. Pike gives up his chair for Saru, because his mission that he was supposed to be captaining is over, apparently. Which
I like.
It's a nice moment, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds really weird. So they get ahead of an asteroid, then put on the brakes. So then the asteroid then goes into the shuttle bay, which surely would cause an awful lot of damage, I can't help feeling. But
that's why they had the gravity thing.
Yeah, the badly CGI thing was somehow suspending it, wasn't it? But, yeah. It turns out Pike's sticking around, though. We see him in Lorca's ready room.
And he's going like, where are all the chairs? Who wants to be in this thing?
Yeah, and now he's in a Discovery uniform, which is the older uniform. Is that to fit in with a ship, I suppose you could argue? But
well,
I kind of think if they're introducing a new uniform, from then on inwards they'd be wearing that, so generally the rest of the Discovery crew would be wearing it?
I don't know, because you think about the fact that the badge is not the same everywhere, is it? Think of the original series with Kirk.
Yeah, just don't get, because that was an almighty mess. People started putting together the theory that there was different badges for different ships, and that was actually never meant to be that way. And it's the same basic uniform for everybody, whereas here we've got two uniforms running coterminous. It's a bit like the days when we had the Deep Space Nine one and the Next Generation one at the same time, and depending on whether you were on Deep Space Nine would depend on whether you wore that type of, what did we call it, the sort of, the roll-up-your-sleeves...
The overalls.
Overall wet uniform, yeah. So that appears to be what's going on here, and in order to fit in, he's now going back in time to the Discovery Star one. Anyway...
Well, maybe in this...
You know me in uniforms.
Maybe in this era it takes more energy and whatnot to make a uniform.
Yeah, you suddenly
so it's easier for him to make one uniform for him than there is new uniforms for all the rest of the crew.
Maybe. But I'm kind of hoping at some point, because the blue's all right, but I much prefer the joyful colours from the original series.
I'm the opposite. I much prefer the Discovery uniform.
Ah, right. Okay. Anyway, he picks up a fortune cookie slip left over from Lorca's days, and it reads... Not every cage is a prison, not every loss eternal, which I sort of saw a reference to The Cage and the Menagerie and how things end up for Pike. But you saw a reference...
I thought Lorca's not dead.
Aha. Interesting.
Not every cage is a prison could be a reference to the fact that he's trapped... As in, the good Lorca is trapped in the bad universe, yeah? And not every loss is eternal means that we haven't permanently lost Lorca.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I took it to mean.
No doubt all will be revealed at some stage, but it's a nice little, what could this be about thing seeded, and not the only one either, is it? Pike tells Michael Spock is on compassionate leave. Apparently the Enterprise was their last resort in the war. They didn't call her back from the 5-year mission unless they felt they needed her or something. Kind of felt like the Discovery was their best ship and not the Enterprise, but never mind.
See, I'm not sure about that. I think when so many people were dying, it was a way of preserving the human species.
Oh, right, okay. Well, there's no families on board, so that's not going to work.
No, there were men and women and equipment.
Yeah, I don't want to look into the equipment. There is, during this scene, a lovely shot out the window of the Enterprise being on tow, which is really nice. You don't see it very clearly because it's in the distance, but it's really good. And then there's a fantastic cut. You've got Michael stood in front of the window, and you're looking at her back, and then it cuts to her being on the Enterprise. I thought we weren't going to get to see the inside of the Enterprise. Oh, Chip! But no, bless them. Nice bit of fan service here, because she's going to visit Spock's quarters. which seems a bit intrusive, but I suppose they're kind of family. But yes, we've got bright red colours, which makes us think of the original Enterprise.
And
the doors make the right
cage
noise.
thing.
Yeah, that's right. They've got the weird things around his...
Which I never understood in the original series either.
No, they're basically part of the what do you call them, shelving units, basically.
Yeah. All odd. But anyway, they were there.
Yeah, and we get Spock's Vulcan harp, the 3D chess, the thing with the bells on. Yeah, it's all nice.
Yeah.
But then even more rude, Michael then listens to his personal log. The clue surely is in the name. You shouldn't be doing that, but never mind. You'd think he'd password protect it, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but it wasn't.
He's been having the nightmares have come back again, apparently, and he's kind of left to chase them or something. Yeah, anyway, all will be explained, I'm sure. But then it has a rather than having this time a dragon, this when she waves the stuff out, this is weird. You get a holographic map, which includes the red things. So presumably that's some sort of clue to Spock's whereabouts. I don't know.
Yeah, something to do with the red things, I
yes.
think.
So lots of seeding stuff, but you kind of expect that from the first episode. But I generally really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Lots of action, lots of great humour.
Yeah, loved it.
Cool.
Loved it.
Excellent start to the season. Well done.
Yay.
Top marks.
Now, has anybody else managed to watch this in time to feedback?
Amazingly, yes.
Wow, given that we're recording on day of airing rather than the day after.
The poor old Llama God was rather frustrated. He got up really early this morning because he knew he wasn't going to have time this evening to watch it and send feedback. And unfortunately, he didn't go up early enough for him to have seen it before going to work. So, But no doubt we'll hear his thoughts next week.
Yeah. And we will be resuming our record on a Saturday to give people time to watch the episode on the Friday.
Yeah.
It's just I'm at the snooker tomorrow.
So we've heard from Dory. At the start of this, I wasn't overly impressed by Pike. His manner seemed offhand to the point of rude. Yes, I think they did that on purpose,
probably.
didn't they?
Yeah.
The interactions between Michael and Sarek made me wonder if Michael and Spock had a romantic relationship when they were teenagers.
Yeah, it wasn't just me.
Yeah, kind of hoping it isn't that. I love the scenes when Michael and the disco ladies saved Pike. Disco ladies. They are the disco ladies! Excellent. I warmed a little to Pike when he backed up Michael's suggestions to the arrogant science officer who was just begging to be wiped out.
Yes.
The only problem was he nearly took Pike out too. When Michael, Pike and the others were heading on the rescue mission, Anthony, my husband, laughed at Trek's Power Rangers. Oh, that was the different coloured suits, wasn't it? Yes, okay. Our kids were like, ooh, that's a bit too tight-fitted. I realised I may be in the minority, but I really enjoyed Michael's voiceover, and it really added to the intrigue at the end. No, well, it was good.
Yeah. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who else have we heard from?
We have heard from Fatbone Smith.
Okay, this is attempt number 6. Attempts 1 through 5 were aborted because they sounded too much like William Shatner in delivery, and I didn't want to sound too much like William Shatner in delivery, so attempt number 6 is happening now. I really liked Discovery, first episode. I had a lot of fun watching it. I liked how cinematic it was. It really looked and felt very much like a film at times. I liked the fact that the crew seemed to work together more than you had seen them work together before. How nice it must have been for the bridge crew to actually have lines to learn. I don't think I'm going to do a really critical deep dive into it at this stage because there's not much to do a critical deep dive on. And also really I just want to watch it for fun. I don't really want to have to overanalyze it too much. But yes, on the basis of this first episode, very promising. I enjoyed it a lot. I had fun watching it. Looking forward to next week. Thumbs up. Okay, bye.
Cool.
Short but sweet, we like those.
Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah.
It was quite filmic in places. So there was action scenes, very much so, yeah. And the crew seem more relaxed with one another, which is good, because you want them to have made some progress. You want to reset it all.
And I like that they get more to do as the crew.
Yes.
They all get some kind of line or whatever.
I particularly like Stamets, who's obviously not in a good place in many ways, but he's still... the new Stamets that we got sort of halfway through the season, because he started being grim and dark. It's like, not another grim, dark character. But then his exposure to the spores and he made him mellow and cool. Yeah. And he's kind of still there, isn't he? Which is nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have we heard from Andy? I know we talked about this on The Great Derelict.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think this episode had aired at that point.
No, it hadn't, so...
Hello, Orgs. Just a quick bit of feedback for the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery. I won't give you my thoughts on the short treks, because if anyone is interested in those, you can go and listen to them on The Great Derelict, where I had a chat with David Probert, and we spoke a lot about them. But this is just about Bravo. What did I think? I really liked it. I thought it's a bit like going back to school after a long summer break. Granted, a school that you like, with classmates and friends that you like, but it was just so nice to be around these characters and these people, and this for me is where the joy of Discovery is. It's in the characters, the interactions. It's seeing Tilly and Stamets, it's seeing Michael and Saru. It's seeing these people all come together and how they interact, and that's just a delight. We have the new Captain Pike, played by Anson Mount. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to rewatch The Cage, because I would have been interested to see how he compares to Jeffrey Hunter. I'm not expecting the same performance, just more for personal interest to see how he plays it. But I really liked how he came across. Not quite fatherly, a little bit of a cowboy, perhaps. There's a bit of a swagger in the way he spoke and the way he walked. But really liked him. Fitted into the crew well, I thought. Very different from Lorca, obviously, but it's going to be interesting to see how he plays out over the course of the season. Also, how will Enterprise play into the rest of this? Because she broke down. I wonder if this is where Mr. Scott, has to come on board to fix this mess. Who knows? Who knows? I liked Tig Notaro as Commander Jet Reno. What a cool space name is that, Jet Reno. It sounds like we're Max Power, isn't it? I hope we see more of her throughout the series. Don't know as yet. To be honest, the only new character I wasn't overly enamoured with was Connolly. And he got his just desserts while in the middle of effectively mansplaining to Burnham why he knew what he was doing. So, awkward. So yes, I won't dwell too much on everything. I'm sure everyone's kind of fed back. I just wanted to basically just pipe up and say, yay, I liked it. I'm excited to see the rest of this series. I'm just happy to be back amongst the characters. A couple of things I thought were a little strange. What's going on inside Discovery with the turbo lifts and the launching the probes? It's like the inside of Space Mountain. I don't agree with that at all. Fix it, sort it out. Also, Enterprise does look damn gorgeous. I loved it. More Enterprise, please. What weird? More Enterprise, but less Enterprise. I don't want this to become TOS 2.0, but my God, that's a good-looking ship, isn't it? Ooh, I might need to take a moment. No, anyway, I'm back. Some great little lines in here as well, little one-liners, and not all from it. We had when things look like they're going wrong, and Saru's fear ganglia comes out, and he turns to the replacement science officer, and I was like, really? You're surprised? I thought that was a lot of fun. I adore Tilly and her I've gone drunk with power, which is awesome. And Pike, when he's giving the orders to the rest of the crew, and he just turns to Detmer and says, Detmer, fly. Good. I really like that. So yeah, I'm very glad Discovery is back. I am very much looking forward to the rest of the series, and seeing what happens and see it where it goes. But yes, I'm going to take Tilly's words to heart, and I'm going to try and say fewer words. So I'm going to sign off there. Just keep up the good work. Looking forward to many, many more Borgcast talking about Season 2. Ta-ra!
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, death by mansplaining.
Brilliant. Yes. About time too.
Yeah.
You're right, Jet Reno is a fantastic name. I couldn't quite believe it when I read it off Memory Alpha. I was like, really? There's a character called Jet Reno?
Yeah. I do wonder if the Enterprise needs Scotty to come on and fix it.
Yes. And there is a swagger to Pike, which I quite like. He's kind of relaxed, isn't he, as well? Don't worry about ranks, just tell me your name, sort of thing. That's quite nice.
Yeah.
It's quite promising, the new captain, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Bring something new to the table.
Definitely.
So there we go. We shall be back next Saturday.
Yes.
We'll be recording the next episode, which I don't know what it's called yet. Excitement. No. Not on Netflix, so I don't know. We shall also probably be covering the next issue of the Transformers versus Star Trek comic.
Yeah.
Because hopefully we'll have our issue by then.
And on Wednesday is when we record the next Borgcast Galactica.
Yes. We're covering the, what's it called? City of the Gods, is it? Parts 1 and 2? I think that's what it's called.
You're asking the wrong person.
Okay, yeah. But anyway, that's
stuff
and things. That's going to be Wednesday. So Galactica Wednesday, Trek on Friday. Blimey, we've got a busy week of science fiction. Hooray!
But we record the Trek on Saturday.
Yes. Cool. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Cheers, bye. All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at borgcast.libsyn.com.
And we have a YouTube channel as well.
You can find the Borgcast playouts on Spotify for your listening pleasure.
Visit our Tumblr site at borgcast.tumblr.com, where you'll find images accompanying the episodes discussed in this cast.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Or you can contact us via Twitter on rev_org or Borgcast_ammo. #Borgcast.
So shiny, send your armies, but they'll never be enough. My shell's too tough, my man. You can try, but you can't expect a demigod to be to take apart. You will die. Now it's time for me to take apart your aching heart. Far from the ones who abandoned you, chasing the love of these humans who made you feel wanted.
Shut it down! If I had any money, I'd be sipping jippers on a beach somewhere.
I'd be sipping jippers on a beach somewhere.